Meanwhile, President Trump is defending his administration amid criticisms of tactics around immigration and voting.
Americans are feeling negative about President Trump's job performance, particularly when it comes to the economy. According to the latest NBC News Decision Desk poll, when asked about inflation and the cost of living, 61% of Americans say they disapprove of the president's handling of it so far.
President Trump is set to address the nation tonight to tout the work of his administration and look ahead to his priorities in the new year.
The speech comes as economic concerns continue to be a top priority for Americans.
Today we are talking about a major political story coming out of the United States that is getting attention not only inside the country, but also around the world. In recent days, criticism of the Trump administration has grown stronger, both internationally and domestically. Governments, experts, lawmakers, and citizens are raising serious concerns about the direction of U.S. policy, democratic values, transparency, and accountability. This story is important because it affects how America is seen globally and how democracy functions at home. Let's start with the international reaction. A key moment came from the Munich Security Conference, which is one of the most respected global forums where world leaders, defense experts, and policymakers meet to discuss international security and democracy. In a recent report and discussions, experts warned that Europe should be prepared to push back against what they see as authoritarian changes in U.S. policy under President Trump. This is a strong statement, and it shows how serious these concerns have become. The report suggests that some actions and decisions coming from Washington reflect a shift away from traditional democratic norms. European leaders are worried about things like weakening checks and balances, pressure on independent institutions, and the use of power in ways that may limit free speech or political opposition. For many European allies, the United States has long been seen as a leader of democracy and rule of law. So when they see signs that those values may be under stress, it creates alarm and uncertainty. European officials are especially concerned because U.S. policies often influence global politics. If democratic standards appear to weaken in America, it could encourage similar behavior in other countries. That is why the Munich Security Conference report emphasized that Europe must be ready to defend democratic values, even if that means openly disagreeing with U.S. leadership. This marks a noticeable change in tone from past years, when U.S.-European relations were more united around shared democratic ideals. Now let's move to the domestic side of the criticism, which is just as intense. Inside the United States, many lawmakers, journalists, and citizens are questioning the administration over several ongoing controversies. One of the most sensitive issues involves the handling of documents related to Jeffrey Epstein. Epstein's case has long been linked to powerful figures, and there has been strong public demand for full transparency. Critics say that the administration has withheld or delayed the release of certain Epstein-related files. This has fueled suspicion and frustration among the public. Many Americans believe that keeping these files hidden raises serious questions about accountability and whether influential people are being protected. Lawmakers from both parties have faced pressure from voters who want answers and want the truth to come out. The Epstein issue is especially damaging because it touches on trust. When people feel that information is being hidden, they start to question the integrity of the government. Transparency is a core part of democracy, and any perception that the government is not being open can weaken public confidence. Another major controversy involves Health Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr. Critics accuse him of giving misleading testimony during congressional hearings. According to reports, lawmakers believe that some of his statements were unclear or possibly inaccurate, especially on health policy decisions and internal department actions. Congressional testimony is meant to help lawmakers understand what the government is doing and why. When testimony is questioned, it creates conflict between the executive branch and Congress. Some lawmakers argue that misleading Congress, whether intentional or not, undermines oversight and accountability. Others say it reflects a broader pattern within the administration of avoiding clear answers. Supporters of the administration push back, saying that critics are exaggerating the issue for political reasons. Still, the controversy has added to the growing list of concerns surrounding the administration. Beyond these specific cases, there is also a broader cultural and political conflict happening across the country. Debates over free speech, media, education, immigration, and law enforcement have become more heated. Supporters of the Trump administration argue that the president is taking strong action to protect national interests, secure borders, and challenge what they see as biased institutions. On the other hand, critics argue that these actions sometimes cross the line into restricting freedoms. Media organizations have also played a big role in this story. Some outlets strongly criticize the administration, highlighting every controversy and warning about democratic backsliding. Other outlets defend the administration and accuse critics of spreading fear or misinformation. This media divide has made it harder for Americans to agree on basic facts, which further increases tension. At the same time, protests and public demonstrations continue in several cities. Activists are calling for greater transparency, protection of democratic norms, and accountability for government officials. These protests show that many Americans are deeply engaged and concerned about the direction of the country. Supporters of the administration often respond by saying these protests are politically motivated and do not represent the majority. The Trump administration itself has rejected claims of authoritarian behavior. Officials argue that their policies are legal, necessary, and supported by voters. They say strong leadership is being mistaken for authoritarianism and that critics simply do not accept the results of elections. According to the administration, actions taken are meant to restore order, efficiency, and national strength. Despite these defenses, the criticism continues to grow. International allies are watching closely, and domestic institutions are under pressure. The situation has raised questions about how the U.S. balances strong leadership with democratic safeguards. It has also sparked discussions about the future of American democracy and its role in the world. What makes this moment especially important is that it is happening during a time of global instability. Wars, economic uncertainty, and political unrest in many regions mean that U.S. leadership matters more than ever. Allies want reassurance that America remains committed to democratic values and international cooperation. Inside the U.S., the controversy has become a key issue in political debates and upcoming elections. Candidates from both sides are using these developments to argue their case to voters. Some warn that democracy is at risk, while others say the country is finally pushing back against entrenched power structures. In simple terms, this story is about trust, power, and values. International leaders are questioning whether the U.S. is changing in ways that concern them. At home, Americans are divided over whether the administration is protecting the country or damaging its democratic foundations. As this situation continues to develop, more investigations, reports, and political battles are expected. Congress may push for more hearings, advocacy groups may increase pressure, and international allies may speak out more openly. The outcome of these conflicts will likely shape U.S. politics for years to come.